So you're looking to start a short-term rental on Lake Hopatcong and you want to know what towns allow it and what towns don't. This video is for you. My name is Stephen Van Ness. I'm a local real estate agent who was born and raised on Lake Hopatcong. In this video, we're going to talk about all 4 towns that surround the lake and what requirements and restrictions each town has for short-term rentals. Now, I get calls all day long from people just like you looking to move to Lake Hopatcong and potentially start a short-term rental business. If that's the case, whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, make sure to reach out. All my information is below. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, leave a comment. I check everything and I always love talking to you guys. Now, if you find this information helpful and you want to stay up to date on all things Lake Hopatcong, make sure to subscribe and follow along. So first things first, let's talk about the different towns that surround the lake. So you have 4 different towns. You have Jefferson Township, which has more lake frontage than any other town. You also have Hopatcong Boro, which has the second most amount of lake frontage on Lake Hopatcong. Then you have Mount Arlington Boro, which is a really small town, mostly consisting of Birchen Island and the surrounding neighborhoods. Then you have Roxbury Township, which is a pretty large town, but it doesn't have that much lake frontage on the lake. So let's start by talking about Roxbury. Now, right off the bat, if you're looking to start a short-term rental on Lake Hopatcong, avoid Roxbury. They completely banned all short-term rentals. You are not allowed to rent your home out as a short-term rental property in Roxbury. So right off the bat, you can cross it off your list. Next, let's talk about Jefferson Township. Luckily, Jefferson Township does allow short-term rentals, but there are some restrictions that you need to be aware of. So first things first, you have to have a certificate of occupancy with the town. This is not all that difficult to get. You can just call the town up and they'll have somebody come out and issue a CO. Secondly, you have to have a yearly inspection done. Now, this inspection is good from January 1st to December 31st, and it costs $150 to get. Essentially, what they're looking for is they're looking to make sure there's no health or safety issues with the home. They want to make sure that you and your guests are protected in the event of any fire hazard or safety hazard. Now, there's some other minor restrictions, like they restrict how many guests you can have in your home based off of the bedroom size and the septic size. For instance, if you have a 3-bedroom home with a 3-bedroom septic system, that septic system is technically rated for 6 people, 2 people per bedroom. But if you have a 3-bedroom septic with technically 4 bedrooms in the house, or maybe you convert an office space to an extra bedroom, they will not count that as a bedroom because your septic can't handle that many people. Essentially, what they're trying to avoid is they're trying to avoid you overrunning the septic system with too many people in the home, which could potentially cause the septic to drain into the lake, which would obviously not be good. Now, of course, I'm giving you guys a summary and the important points, but before purchasing a property, you either want to reach out to me directly, talk to an attorney, or go to the town and look at the ordinances to make sure you're following all the necessary steps and procedure to make sure you comply with their ordinances. Next, let's talk about Hopatcong Boro. Now, Hopatcong has recently made it much more difficult to do short-term rentals. The only way you're allowed to do it is if one of the owners of the home live on the property and consider it their principal residence. So what does that mean? Well, if you have 2 homes on your property, you live in one as your primary residence, and you want to rent the other one out, you could do that. You just have to go through the permit process with the town. There's a lot of forms you have to fill out. You have to get a permit. So make sure you're going to the town and checking those ordinances and making sure you're up to date on all your information. But overall, yes, you can do it. You just have to have one of the owners live on the property and consider it their principal residence. Now, this means if you have 2 homes on the property and you don't live in either one, or maybe you just use one as a vacation home or a weekend getaway and it's not your principal residence, you cannot do short-term rental. So for the straight investor that's just looking for a single family home to rent out, I would not buy a home in Hopatcong Boro. Now, if you plan to have a principal residence and there's a second property, or maybe there's an in-law suite in the basement of the home that you want to rent out, I would still look into Hopatcong Boro and you can potentially find a good property and you could potentially make some extra money doing it. But overall, Hopatcong is not a great town for short-term rentals anymore. Now, lastly, let's talk about Mount Arlington Boro. So to be completely honest with you guys, I have done a lot of research. I've looked through all their ordinances. I've looked on the town website. I've talked to people in the town, and nobody seems to have any information on the restrictions regarding short-term rentals. That leads me to believe that there's no restrictions or regulations when it comes to short-term rentals in Mount Arlington. However, before purchasing a property there, I would make sure to go to the town, fill out an OPRA, or talk to an attorney to make sure you're not breaking any of their rules. But overall, I have not found anything that leads me to believe there's any restrictions or regulations within the borough. Now, I hope this information was helpful. As I mentioned, if you find this information useful and you want to stay up to date on all things Lake Hopatcong, make sure to subscribe. If you want to look into properties around the lake, you can always give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me a DM. I'm always here to help you guys answer your questions and guide you through the process. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video.